Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the New York Alternative Investments Lunchtime webinar series. My name is Jason Eisman, Assistant Vice President at Hub International, and I'm the moderator for this panel. Before we get into it, I have a couple of housekeeping items. First, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Roundtable, we're a nonprofit organization whose mission is to provide a forum for knowledge sharing and thought leadership in the alternative investment space. What we do is we host in-person events monthly, and we host monthly educational content such as this webinar. Thank you to all of our current members, and especially thank you to our sponsors. Without you, we would not be able to do these things. If you're interested in becoming a member or learning about becoming a member or a sponsor, please consult me on LinkedIn, or you can reach out via the website ny-alt.org. This webinar will be posted on the website and can be seen future viewings. That said, I would like to introduce Mitchell Harunian. Mitchell, please share a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join. I think we're going to have a really fun conversation. It's going to be super exciting. Thank you, Jason and the team, for giving me the platform to speak. I love what I do, so I'm going to be super passionate and super excited again. A little bit about myself. From New York and Manhattan. If anyone here is in the Manhattan area, I've been a venture capital investor for 5+ years now, which is really cool to say. Originally came from investment banking, was at a fund in San Francisco for about a year, and then managed a pretty big private investment portfolio for a pretty big family office for over 3.5 years. So just super exciting. And again, I'm lucky enough to find something in my career that I love to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody works. I don't think everybody can say that they love what they do. So anybody who can and when they can, it's definitely a blessing. You mentioned a lot about venture capital, and that is great and all, but let's get into what we're really here to talk about. Social media. Uh, you are big on social media. You started the Venture Reel. Can we take a minute and talk a little bit about that, what that is, and how you got into that?
Awesome, for sure. There's definitely a bigger plan in the venture reel. I'm not here to sugarcoat that. For those of you who don't know, the venture reel is an Instagram account I recently started less than a year ago, talking a lot about my business takes, but also talking a lot about startup companies, trends I'm seeing in venture capital as you know in the as a whole in the space, and also why I believe some businesses are super successful, all talking about it from a business angle. How do they maybe cut on their margins? How do they maybe, scale sales? How do they, go about their marketing strategies and raise massive awareness about what they've done? And um, the venture reel, I do it in short form video content. I do it and try to do it in less than a minute, sometimes a little bit over a minute. And thankfully it's been great. I've been getting some nice engagement, and the sky's the limit. It's only the beginning.
It's only the beginning. So you mentioned that it's only the beginning for you, but you mentioned short form media. Let's talk about beginnings. Is this something that's been around for a long time? Is this something that is new? How did you come up with this idea, essentially? You started doing these videos a minute, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. You're not posting any significant duration videos. Is that specific to the marketing strategy?
Yeah, so how did I start? Why and how did I start doing these videos? Is a great question. A lot of business is not reinventing the wheel. It's something I like to start off saying. Um, it's okay to imitate what people have done, what's really successful people have done, and imitate it in your own way. And I'll get into what I mean by that. If you're listening, I'm not sure if you know who Fred Wilson is. Fred Wilson is the founder of Union Square Ventures. Union Square Ventures is one of the top venture capital funds in the world. They have billions of dollars of assets under management. And Fred Wilson got really big during the dot-com era in the early 2000s. What Fred did was start an email newsletter in the early 2000s, talking about whatever was on his mind in the business world, talking a lot about startups that he's been seeing, startup trends. And by consistently posting and being engaging, um, people started really drawing a lot of attention towards his email newsletter in the early 2000s. And Fred was able to go leverage that and turn around to limited partners and say, hey, look at what I've built. I built a massive community on an email newsletter where I have the attention of hundreds of thousands of people talking about business, talking about startups. Give me some money and let me go launch a fund with it because I can get great access to deal flow and then I can go show it off. And that is essentially what I'm trying to do with today's version, the 2025 version. A lot of being a great in order to be a great venture capitalist, I believe you have to do three things really well. The first thing you have to do really well is get access to great deal flow. The second thing you have to do really well is pick winners that win, which is obvious, right? You might laugh at that one. We'll get back to that point. And the third thing you need to do is help your portfolio companies after you invest. Because when you invest in a company, you're partners with the founder and the entire group of the company. You're not an investor, you're a partner. And you need to help beyond your capital investment. And that's a big thesis statement I have in my mind. And we're going to touch that point a lot today. Um, and with the venture reel and with what Fred Wilson did, if you get a massive community and people know you're a venture investor and you have a lot of attention and eyeballs, it will check off points one and three. Point one, again, getting access to deal flow and helping post investment is point three. So if people reach out to me all the time, and again, I started this less than a year ago. I have 7,000 plus followers. It's nothing crazy. Like, again, this is just the beginning. But people reach out to me consistently because all these startup founders want me to feature them on my channel. I have great engagement. I can raise awareness. I'm talking about things from a business perspective. And that is a great way for me to get access to deal flow as an investor. And then how can I help in my investment portfolio and investment, my portfolio companies? By consistently posting about it, by making a video, by sprinkling in and raising awareness for them when appropriate. I don't push it down your throat, but I do it when appropriate. If you followed me, you probably know I'm a big investor in a consumer packaged good company called Jams, which is a better for you PB&J. When appropriate, I'll post me eating it. I'm a big investor in a iced tea company, the fastest growing iced tea company in Whole Foods. When I'm in Whole Foods, I take a picture of it and I post on my story. And it's just building that community and awareness. So going back to your point, I know this is a very long-winded, answer, Jason, but going back to your point, why did I create this account? I created this account to truly differentiate myself and be a value add investor for my portfolio companies and to check off point one and three.
Okay, now let me follow up with a question. You mentioned the differentiation. So you're on Instagram and you're creating this short form media. How is it different, or how are you differentiating yourself more so than people who are using traditional email, who are using mail, or even just posting text on
It's a
LinkedIn? And is there a trend?
that's
Where
a
are we in the cycle of this type of marketing?
That's a great question. So just to quickly backtrack, yes, Fred Wilson did that in the early 2000s with email newsletters, correct? But people have been doing this. Again, we're not reinventing the wheel here. Between now and then, they've been doing it, like you mentioned, through LinkedIn. They have a massive audience. Through Twitter. Twitter is huge. If you're an venture, Twitter is a humongous platform to raise massive awareness. So I think, why short form video content? Why Instagram? Why not other platforms? Um, there are a few reasons. One, I personally am not a LinkedIn fan. I understand what LinkedIn can do for people and what LinkedIn can do for people's businesses. And I'm not diminishing that. I'm not putting that down at all. But I personally am just not a LinkedIn person because I get a lot of spam on LinkedIn, like bot inboxes. I'm also like things like Facebook. Like I don't know, I'm not, I friend people on Facebook, when I was in middle school, right? But we didn't even know who each other were. LinkedIn is the same way. Um, and LinkedIn's also a little bit too show offy for me. It's like, oh, I'm better than you. And then someone's also like, no, 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 I'm better than you. And I just personally, it's just, again, it's a personal preference. I'm not like that. Twitter is also a little bit of a dark, scary place. There are a lot of bots on Twitter, and people can say really crazy things and post really crazy things on Twitter. So I avoid Twitter. My business is very much a networking, being a personable person business. And when I'm posting short form video content, think about your favorite influencer. Okay. How Kev eats, Jack's dining. I don't know who comes off on your feed, but think about your favorite influencer. You
Mhm.
feel like you know them a little bit, right? Because you do see their face. You don't post, posting a text on LinkedIn or Twitter, you don't really see their face. You do see their face on short form video content. You have a sense of a deeper connection because of that. Like you know who somebody is, like you know who they are as individuals. And that is something that for me, and my business personally, which is getting access to great deal flow, performing due diligence, raising money for them. With the raising money part, it does a lot for me. Just being personable and being myself. And that's why I picked Instagram. And also, you mentioned email. What goes more viral, a video or an email? A video. Um,
Is there a trend?
what are you scrolling through more? Your email or your Instagram? Your Instagram. That's why. And uh, I always thought to myself, I had the idea of making this account over a year ago, maybe like 6 or 8 months prior to actually doing it. And I thought to myself, I can't believe I sit on my butt all day scrolling through my phone, and I'm not one of those people that someone's scrolling through. And today, it's like I didn't make it my personal channel. If you're my friend, you don't have to follow the venture reel. I don't want you following the venture reel if you don't want to. I want you to follow the venture reel if you care about venture capital, if you care about business, if you care about startup trends, if you care about looking at the next hottest startup company. That's why I want you to follow the venture reel, not because we're friends. A lot
All
of my
right.
friends do, but that's why you create a separate account.
I'm going to cut you
I
off
hope
there
that
really
answered your
quickly.
question.
That does answer the question. I have a couple follow-ups, but I'm going to cut you off really quickly because we do have some questions coming in from viewers and they're timely related to what you're saying. The first is, can social media really educate individual investors sufficiently to make them sophisticated enough decisions with their money? So you're saying that you're highlighting what's going on and you're providing some educational content on what you're seeing in the market. Is this a marketing strategy that in and of itself can can essentially function as your full-on marketing, or is there more that needs to go alongside this from your side, or does it cater itself only to people who are sophisticated on their own and this is more of an attraction to try and get those people
So
invested in what you're presenting.
So for my personal brand and marketing, I think this is enough. I mean, I post on TikTok too, but I'm not big on TikTok. Um, I don't scroll through TikTok personally. Um, but to really answer this question, I'm very conscious about making my content extremely digestible for the average Instagram scroller. Um, and to also follow up with, I guess, the second part of the question, I'm not telling anyone to do anything with their money. That's not my job. I'm just giving takes on startup trends I'm seeing, really interesting, cool startup companies that founders are putting their blood, sweat, tears, life savings into and creating a platform to raise awareness for it. If you choose to want to invest with me, you can. Legally, I'm not allowed to go on Twitter or, I mean, on Instagram and say, hey, invest with me in this startup. Not allowed to say that. I don't say that, but I do say I am investing in this company. And people who reach out to me know that probably means that I do have uh, you know, a fund set up to invest in them. And if they want to participate, we can take that conversation on email or text or phone call and off of Instagram. But I'm not telling you what to do with your money. It's not my job.
Okay. And going going back to we asked the question about education and whether or not this is enough to
So
teach.
yeah, so I mean, I hope everything I put is out is educational. Like I'm not trying to put out false uh, narratives and fake news. I care too much about my brand and my future and who I want to be in my career to do that. But
Or
it's like anything. It's like, do you see things that aren't true on the internet? I mean, of course, like, but I hope to not. And I actually, a lot of people, one thing a lot of people say about my account, it's a massive compliment, is how informative it is, but also how digestible it is with that information, which is something I'm very conscious about. Again.
and to that, you're putting out this content. It's bite-sized. It's easy for the average investor or the average Joe to understand. Do you think, or have you seen that one's ability to use social media and to use this type of marketing, are they perceived better or differently than other funds or other people who are raising capital? Like, do they have an easier time raising capital, attracting better quality capital? What are you seeing are the benefits with using social media and short form marketing?
Yeah. So, I mean, when it comes to raising capital, you have to put yourself apart, right? There's so many venture capital funds, there's so many private equity firms. It's actually a thing right now that there are too many private equity firms out there. There are too many venture capital firms out there. And I believe the ones that are going to make it out the gate and at the top are the ones that can provide true value beyond their capital investment, that can help beyond their money. And that's something I'm very conscious about. And personally speaking, for me, that's what the venture reel does. Now, going back to what you're saying, also, there are massive trends about media tying to venture. If you are big in the venture capital space, you probably know or have heard or seen clips about 20 VC, Harry Stebling. Harry Stebling is a guy in the UK who had no venture capital experience. He started a podcast a few years ago, got Sequoia, Andreessen Horowitz, top partners of top venture funds to come on his channel. He is the number one venture capital podcast in the world. And what did he do? He turned around and raised a $400 million venture capital fund earlier this year. What happened the last week? A week or two ago, in the last 10 days, there was an announcement. Jake Paul and Logan Paul, whether you like them or not, the YouTubers, just launched a $30 million fund. And actually, because of the venture reel, I'm very close with the guy that manages their fund. So we are, God willing, if there we can co-invest on a few deals together. And what does that do? We invest in a company. Guess what? We have a massive audience. We're going to show it off, right? Um, so I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that does answer the question. And let me ask, is AI incorporated in your strategy, and how are other people using AI in this type of marketing? And is it easy? The last piece of that is it easy? Usually, a lot of the complaints with AI is it's very easy to tell if something is AI. So, how is AI incorporated, and how are you still making sure that you come off as not using AI, if that's a potential
You're
consideration?
saying you're saying AI to help me with my business.
In any way, yeah, or broadly speaking, for other people who are using this type of marketing and advertising.
Um, I'm not gonna lie. So this is my opinion on AI. It's the
Okay.
same opinion I think people had thousands of years ago or whenever the calculator was created. People probably thought when the calculator came out, they were like, oh my gosh, people aren't going to know their times tables. People still know their times tables. Okay. With AI, people are still going to think for themselves, or at least I hope so. I know I will. Do I use AI? Of course I use AI. Of course I use ChatGPT. I'm not afraid to say it. If you're not, I would argue you're actually stupid because it's there. I'm here to work fast and smart. I like to work fast and not sit on my butt and do nothing. Everything about what I do is speed. And it's closing a deal fast, executing fast. Why would I not use AI? I was speaking to my buddy about it who works, I'm not going to name names, at a very, very, very well respected private equity firm in New York. I asked him, use ChatGPT to help you write your memos? He said, of course. I said, does your team know? They said, honestly, I'm not sure, but my memos are written, saves me 3 hours and writes it better than I will. I said, of course, done. So why would you not use AI and ChatGPT or whatever AI system is out there? I would argue you're actually being stupid for not doing it.
So the tools are presented to you, so you're best off using these tools at hand. And obviously, there is intervention that's required. It could be good for a template. It might require that you come in and you revise, but ultimately
Yeah,
you're saving
of
time instead of
course.
inventing that wheel. You have a computer that
The
can generate something and you can tweak.
The scripts I write myself, and if I think they're too long, I put it in ChatGPT and I say, make this 60 seconds. And I don't read the script word for word. What I do is I just gives me like a understanding of what I'm going to talk about and how to say it. And then I go out and say it because you want to be conversational. You don't want to be like you're reading. You want to be like you're having a conversation with your friend, like you're talking to somebody.
How do you, so you want to make it feel like it's a conversation. When you go to school and you're taught something, you're given a lecture, they use the word lecture. You sit there, someone's talking at you, you're forced to sit and take notes, and you're going to learn, but it's not necessarily enjoyable. There's another aspect. You want it to be conversational, you want it to be enjoyable. So how do you find that balance of being educational, not becoming a lecture, being educational, but also making it enjoyable and fun for, I guess, for
Yeah,
the company that you're working with and the viewers?
it's a great question. It's something I struggled with, especially super early on, because what I'm pushing out is educational information, like, or at least I'd like to think it is informative information. And I want people to take me seriously because it is my job, but also like I have to be professional because it is work. But also like you don't want to be like the most serious robot in the world, or you're not going to go viral. It's not going to be engaging. So actually, as funny as ironic as it might sound, I just am myself. Like the answer is just to be yourself. I'm just being myself. Like I say the word sick instead of super cool? Yeah, and that's okay. Like that's in my grammar. Like I just speak my language. And I know that my age group or people will respect that and resonate with it, so um Yeah, I mean, it's just being yourself and finding that balance between educational and engaging and conversational.
Okay, and I wanna I wanna stay focused on that for 1 second. It's funny that you mentioned that because I interact with people of different ages, and again, I'm authentically myself. And to your point, people appreciate when you are who you are because there's a genuine aspect to the way you speak and the way you come off. People appreciate it. So when some people around people close to me, they hear me speak and I use certain lingo and they say you can't say that professionally. I think it's the world is kind of changing and certain things are becoming accepted. Like to say sick, it is a little non-traditional, but it's culturally it's becoming more and more accepted. And on that note, you're putting out this content. Are you gearing it towards people of a specific age demographic, or is it really just something that this is becoming authenticity is respected and appreciated on social media?
The algorithm will find its people. Like the algorithm knows you better than you know yourself. That's why you find yourself scrolling for hours when you say you're just gonna, for minutes when you say you're just gonna scroll and see one post. Um, Again, I'm just myself, and whatever age demographic or male, female, geographic demographic it tackles, I let it work itself out.
So it's blind trust in the algorithm. It's continuously learning. So you have confidence that technology is going to help you find the right audience as long as you are providing the right content.
Of course.
Of course, it's amazing what technology can do, and it's I guess now we understand why so many people are turning to social media and to technology, and especially in the alternative investments space. Like, what do you're a smaller shop. You mentioned that you started within the year, but I know I go on LinkedIn and I see John Gray, president of BlackRock. He's posting these short 1 minute clips of him around the world. Some of them are educational, some of them are really just him getting out there. I guess my perspective is there's no shop too big and no shop too small. Is everyone out there using this for the same thing? Are there different goals that can be achieved through social media marketing and short form marketing?
Yeah, but I think today, um, the goal is business. I mean, it's crazy now that I'm on the opposite side. Um, I truly see everything is marketing on your Instagram feed, like literally. And um, yeah, I mean, everyone has their own goals. I mean, my goal is going to be different than an influencer that's a comedian, the comedian's trying to get into the best comedy seller club, right? And build their
Right.
own name, right? I'm trying to raise awareness for my portfolio companies and launch a venture capital fund. It's different for everyone.
Right. So let me ask, I don't know if you'll have the answer to this, but a lot of the membership and viewership here is alternative investments related. So I'm going to ask this question geared specifically to the alternative investment space. Do you see in the alternative space, you're focused on venture capital, but you see tangentially to other similar types of businesses? Is our industry more progressive with regards to adoption of social media marketing and just general use of social media? Are we farther behind? And why do you think that might be for us as an industry?
Going back to the two examples I highlighted, like Harry Stevling's 20 VC, like he I know, listen, I know we're talking about short form content right now, but podcast is still a form of content. Um, and he did it in the podcast world before podcasts really, really, really got hot, or he did it at the right time. Same thing with the Paul brothers. I mean, these guys have a massive, massive, you know, viewership. And with that, through YouTube, and through that, they're able to gear up a fund with it. Again, going back to the 2000s examples with Fred Wilson, I mean, listen, you don't have to have a media platform to be a great venture capitalist.
Of course.
This is the direction I went. But I would argue if you want to be a great venture capitalist, you have to do those three things right that I mentioned at the top, which is get access to great deals, pick winners that win, and help post investment. And you have to set yourself apart. You have to have a secret sauce. Um, so yeah, hope that answers your question.
Okay. And I guess it's a little harder on the podcast side, but for your marketing for these videos, how do you measure the success of a video? Is it generated like interest that you receive phone calls? Is it comments? Do you look at just how many people viewed the video? How is that measured?
It's mostly uh, I'm happy based on the viewers I get per post. Um, and the views I get per post correlate with engagement and correlate with average watch time. Like people who just like the post and keep scrolling because they see, oh, it's me and I like Mitch, he's my friend. That doesn't help me. You have to watch the video from beginning to end because Instagram's algorithm works. They're going to push videos that people are truly watching from beginning and end and are engaged with, right? Meta's goal is to keep you on your phone and be addicted. So if someone creates great content that keeps you on the video and keeps you addicted, that's exactly what they're going to push and continue pushing and, you know, make a video go viral.
So your content is good if you're getting the virality. I guess you have to know what the algorithm is looking for. If you know what the algorithm is looking
Exactly.
for, then you can post the right content.
And and it's funny because now that I'm on the content making side of things, not just the viewership side, there are people who have like, you know, 30,000 followers and I have 7,000. My engagement, like not to, you know, like gas myself up, but my engagement destroys them. And they're getting like 1,000 views a video. You know, my average video is like 7,000, right? And like I have some videos that got 4,000 and 2,000. I have some videos that got 175,000 and 250,000 and
Mhm.
50,000 and 120. Like it varies, 10,000. Um, but when I see someone with 30,000 followers, but only getting 2,000 views, that's someone who one of two things is happening. They bought their followers or they just have terrible engagement. And it's something to consider and something to look at. Like followers obviously helps and is a great form of validation, but the content actually moving, that's a true form of validation.
So there's a big quality over quantity aspect here. Just because you have the followers on social media, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're active users and active engagers in your content. So the
Exactly.
numbers are just numbers. It's like anything. It's like making an investment. It's like, yeah, I guess for this case, making an investment, you can look at the top line numbers, but unless you dig deeper into the weeds, you're not going to find any true pain points by taking numbers at face value.
Yes.
All right. Now on the content, and now that we know we need to get on social media, we need to have content that is relatable, educational, and feeds to an algorithm. So there's different platforms. I'm sure they might have different algorithms. I don't know whether or not you are aware of that, but we need to get the right content for the right algorithm, make it digestible, enjoyable, and relevant. Now, what are the things that people are picking up on in the videos? Like, what are the signals that people are receiving from the content that makes them continue to
The,
engage?
it's all the hook, and there are two forms of hook. There's the my hook in terms of my dialogue, right? What I'm saying. Um, but then there's also a visual hook, right? And you got to try to be very conscious of both, right? The first seconds, first 3, 4, 5 seconds is what's going to determine someone to continue scrolling or to sit and actually watch the video through and through. And mastering a hook, I mean, listen, it's something every influencer is trying to always tackle. And it's also like interesting because if a video does poorly, it's okay because you have to do the next one. And if a video just goes viral and does super well, you got to humble yourself because you have to do the next one. And like it doesn't really matter. So you got to just stay level-headed. Always stay level-headed. Um, but it's all the hook. It's all the hook.
What do you have to say about consistency? How important is consistency of producing the content? You said if you have a bad video, well, bad performance, or you have one that goes viral, you mentioned in both cases, you still need to do the next one. What happens if you post a few and then you take a break? Do you find, number one, that you're going to lose engagement from people because they're not? Do you find that you're going to lose engagement if you're not consistently posting because people are going to forget about you? In social media is very people, it's in and out of people's minds. So short
It's
attention span. If you're not always there, are you going to lose it? That's number one. And number two, about the algorithm. Do you get booted if you're not consistent?
I think I'm not sure about I think so. I'm not a master at this by any means, but I do believe that the algorithm wants, like, if you continue posting, it's only going to help the algorithm and for you to get more viral videos. Um, but it's so funny, like people laugh at influencers. They're like, oh, this influencer. Yeah, guess what? You're scrolling through their content every day, and they're the ones making money. They're the ones scaling their brand, their business. They're the ones that you're scrolling through. And it wasn't until I started making content that I realized, holy shit, this is a full-time job. Um, it truly is because again, make a post, whether it does well or not, stay level-headed. It doesn't matter because you have to make the next post. Of course, you want to go back and analyze and see why. Why did this post do so much better than my other post? What can I continue doing? But you got to go back and make the next one.
Okay. Now we're ready to post. You mentioned that you have your personal account and then you have this business account. Is there a difference between posting on a personal account and posting on a business account? Do you think that one is bound to do better? Is there a specific reason why one would do better, generally speaking? And speaking as someone in the alternative investments industry, do you think that does that matter?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know I actually had this conversation with someone 2 days ago who's very informative in the space. I don't really think it matters. There are two reasons why I personally created a separate account. One is because I just want to keep like my personal stuff like private, you know. Like post at a vacation and stuff. I don't need people to know. But the second reason is I'm not sure slash I don't think that my aunt or my, all my personal followers are interested in this. I mean, if they are, they can click follow on the Venture Reel. I wanted it to really be focused and centered around creating a brand that is not my personal brand, but a brand around a channel that is startup, business, venture capital. And investing, right? And through that, through creating that channel, everyone does look at what I post, or at least I hope everyone looks at what I post, at things from an investment perspective because of the name of the channel, because of my bio, because of what I post and what I say and how I say it. So, um, yeah, I mean
And
that
going back to the algorithm, if you're posting, if you're mixing business and pleasure, then the algorithm probably has a more difficult time directing your content towards all the right people. And
I guess I'm not sure because again, I just have a separate channel. I don't want to like say yes, you're 100% right. And I'm not going to say that if I don't know, but I would assume so.
okay, but it's right, a fair assumption. We don't know, but it seems like it could be something that you may run into, and we know that you do not run into that by separating personal and business. But I want to turn back to the consistency question again because there's a question in the comments. What is the right amount of posting? Let's do that on a weekly, on a daily. What does it
I
look like?
think I think if you're starting off, you can just start posting once a week minimum. Um, and it's okay to post once a week. But because it's really hard to go from 0 to 100. It doesn't just happen. You got to get used to it. You got to tailor things. It takes a lot of time. Um, you got to learn from what went well and what didn't go well. Um, I personally post 3 times a week. Like I'm gonna make a post today. Today's Wednesday. I try to post every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I personally post 3 times a week. Will I ever that's my minimum, that's my floor. Will I ever get more than that? Yeah, maybe. But it's hard between doing actual work and posting. So minimum, I would say once a week if you're just starting. Um, but if you look at your favorite influencers, I mean, if you don't mind, there's an account that I personally love. I don't know if people do here. It's an account called Makeshift, and it's these guys who just talk and I'll quickly show my screen. They talk about just like pop culture. They have 1 million followers. They talk about pop culture and stuff like that. Um, they post every 2 hours. Their business, like 31 minutes ago, 3 hours ago, 17 hours ago, 20 hours ago.
So it
Two,
doesn't hurt to
it,
frequently post.
yeah, I mean, minimum, I'd say once a week. And then you have people like this who made this a full-on business and they have a whole team that they're posting every 2 to 3 hours per day between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m.
Well, starting with once a week, I think that's pretty fair to start. Number one, coming up with the content is in and of itself a difficult task. But what I found is most people have the ability to speak to people and they can educate people who are in front of them. But when you're looking at a camera and there's nobody that you can see, you're talking to however many people but can see absolutely none of them. How do you get comfortable talking to a camera as if it were one person,
Any,
100 people, a million
anything,
people?
it's like anything in life. You just have to do it and continue doing it. It's not, there's no secret sauce to anything in life. Everything in life is being consistent and trying and being persistent. If you go all the way down to my first video I ever made, it cringes me how terrible it is. Like actually cringes me. But I posted it and I did it. And I think I got a lot better since then. And I hope this time next year I see the post I made this time next year, and I also think that it cringes me because I hope I got better, right? It's like anything in life. How do you become a better skier? You continue to ski, you get reps in, and you become a better reader. You read more. Like there's no secret to anything in life like that. Like just continue doing it. Continue, 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 continue.
Sure. So just like anything, this is practice makes perfect. And there's so much to post about. And you have a specific niche post, but you just continue to get better and better, I guess, with the ability to come up with content, the ability to make it more and more digestible and engaging. And I guess you can tell, number one, by your viewership, number two, by the people who are contacting you for more. But number three, I guess, do the companies reach out to you for spotlights on the venture reel, or are you out marketing the venture reel, reaching out to companies that you've
Now,
heard of to try and get them on?
because of the venture reel, people know I'm a VC investor. And because of that, a lot of startup companies, all these startup founders are hitting me up. Hey, can I get featured on the venture reel? Now, the venture reel is the engine to my true business. So I don't say, yeah, I'll feature you. I say, okay, are you raising capital? Let's do a Zoom. Let me perform due diligence. Let me take a look at your pitch deck. Let me see if I would invest. Let me see if I would move forward with next steps. And if that's the case, then I'll post you. Now, every post I make is not a company I've invested in, but every post I make is a company of a founder that I truly respect. And um, I'll determine whether I respect or like what you do based on our first conversation, really.
All right. That's fair. Okay, I have a question that came in and I want to bring it up. It's similar to an earlier question, but it has a different nuance to it. How do you keep the balance between posting investing content that the viewers want to see while following SEC advertising rules? Because I guess sometimes there's a lot of restrictions with the way you can advertise, what you can say, how you can say it, who it can
I've
go
had,
to.
it's a great question. I've had many long conversations with my attorney uh, and attorneys for before I started this. I never say, ever, I'm very careful with my words. I never say, hey guys, you should invest in this company with me. Or hey, I have a fund open for this company, blah, blah, blah. You want to learn more. Never, ever, ever. What do I say? I say, hey, I'm investing in this startup. Why can't I say that? Everyone you know who's invested in a startup will post and say, I invested in the startup, right? I'm very, very careful with what I'm saying and how I say it, because I have to be, and I don't want to get in trouble. But I could say, hey, I'm investing in the startup. Let me tell you why. Why can't I say that?
Right, so I'm a big fan of the venture reel. I watch all your videos. I think they're
Thank
incredible. And going back to day one, you weren't as
you.
bad as you thought. It's always
You're the
hard to
best. You're
watch
the best.
yourself.
It means a
But
lot. Thank you so much.
of course, and I strongly recommend everybody at least check it out afterwards, but I'm not going to push you right now. Um, Question for you is, you talk a lot about business model, you talk about ability to scale, and these are the things that you highlight. So I guess you stay away from talking about anything money related and finance related. You don't talk about this is how much money. Well, you talk about a potential. You'll say, pizza store can make this many pizzas in an hour, this many in a day. This is how many ovens they have, blah, blah, blah. But that's nothing that can get you in trouble. You stay away from that, I guess, is what you're getting at. Your content is
Everything
away
I
from.
push is public information. Not everything. Yeah, yeah, oh, and if it's not public information, I confirm with the founder of that startup company that it's okay for me to post that video.
Do you confirm these things in writing?
Yeah, I text them. It's
Okay. Because
it
an important thing, I guess, is verbal confirmation is great until something happens and there's no proof of the confirmation.
yeah, I
I just
mean,
want to understand how you're operating, how other people should think about it
yeah.
if this was something they were interested in pursuing something like this.
And the other thing I push out a lot is like who invested in the round and like why can't I say if there's an article about it, why can't I say that, this venture capital fund invested in this round, right? Um, that's totally appropriate.
Right. Again, that's not necessarily something that's private information. So you're not divulging anything that can
Yeah.
get you in trouble. Anything that's known, you're just pulling from a source and just mentioning it on a platform. It's a platform
Yeah.
for you to say what you want.
And I see a question about accredited investors. Um, Again, I'm not marketing to invest with me, or invest in specific deals with me. Um, I never say that. And I only allow accredited investors to invest with me. And I use a software that makes sure and validates that. You have to check that off and prove that you're a accredited investor. Um, like AngelList, I'm sure if you've done venture investing, you've heard of AngelList. So, um, yeah, that's that. Like I'm very careful with who I bring in. I have to be.
And it's important that what you're doing on the venture reel, there's a mutual benefit for you and for whomever you're bringing on. So both of you are getting brand awareness. You're getting reach to, I guess, other businesses. You're getting reach to investors who are following your content to learn. Are you giving any tips on, you mentioned the three things that are important for a venture capitalist. Do you give those types of tips as well? Is it
I
educational from
I I do sometimes. Those videos didn't go as well, so I stopped temporarily. I need to figure out a way to do it in a more engaging way. But I try to. Sometimes I do. I do it a lot on my stories as well. So yeah.
Okay. I have a couple more questions that I had on my end. This has been incredible. I got to ask you some questions that I had, some questions that the viewers had, and we've just had some good back and forth. I want to make sure I get through. So it used to be that people cared what their GPs and LPs were like in terms of how they presented themselves publicly. You people nowadays are making themselves very public on social media and using this type of advertising and marketing. Is there a shift? Are people appreciating this more that people are putting themselves more out there on podcasts, on this media marketing, on social media? Like, is there a shift in how the investors are being perceived?
I believe so. I mean, people like my account, so I guess.
It,
Um,
the truth is in the pudding and the results.
you don't, we sit in a very unique moment in time. You don't need to have Nickelodeon or I don't know, a TV network, um, sort of like hire you. Today, you just need your phone. And to become famous, today you just need your phone. And it's that easy. You take a video and you post it. In this moment in time, I know there's conscious of time. I'll try to be quick with this point, but I really want to push it out. I've been really, really focused on getting 10,000 followers by the end of the year. It looks like the year's not over, but it does unless I get one video that explodes, which I hope I do. It looks like I'm gonna fall short, and I'm very upset. Uh, but it's okay because I'm gonna keep posting and it'll be better. But and it'll continue to grow. But the journey has been incredible. We sit in a super unique moment in time where it's really damn easy to get somebody's attention. I use this channel as a way, and again, that's why I use Instagram and not LinkedIn, to actually message and DM people that are really freaking big. Like the top venture capital funds, the partners of the top funds, the top founders of, I'm not going to name names, but really well respected companies, and putting them on my radar. A Dave Grutman, who's the king of Miami, and does all this venture investing. He's viewed my stories. He doesn't follow me, but he's liked my posts. He knows who I am. I am now on his radar. Um, so they're really big people who follow me, and the journey has been amazing to use it as your resume. And if you're watching this and you're thinking about, wow, should I use social media to scale my business? The question is 1 billion %. The answer is 1 billion%. And um, if you're not, and don't doubt yourself, oh, I'm not the personality type to do it, then be the one that sits back and watches everyone and scrolls while you're sitting on your butt instead of being someone that people are scrolling through. Um, Again, it doesn't mean you have to be influencery and do all this stuff. You create a channel talking about you're a real estate lender. I don't know what you do, but if you're a real estate lender, talk about the deals you do. You see people posting on Traded VC all the time, right? If you follow that account. Traded New York, traded Miami, traded LA, if you're in the real estate world, I'm not sure, but why can't you just do what they do for yourself through videos? It's the same thing. Um, it will change your life for the better.
That said, I'll ask one more question. We are coming up on time, and it is a great segue from what you just spoke about people not being afraid to step out of their comfort zone and put themselves in your position where, you start out small, but you make something for yourself instead of don't be a casual viewer, be active. And there's plenty of opportunity in the social media space. That said, what is a piece of advice that you have for everybody that is aspiring to use social media and either doesn't quite see themselves there or are not yet falling in line with the importance and how impactful social media is? What do you want to leave everybody with?
That's my piece of advice. My piece of advice is go start that account. Like, go do it.
Just sky's the
It's
limit.
it's it's funny because like again, it's in this unique moment of time, like there are crazy accounts out there. Like crazy in terms of how niche they are. You don't have to be sorry, this is who I am. You don't have to be a girl with big boobs at a solid core workout to post. Um, you can be an account that is for your business. If you're a venture investor like me, if you're a real estate lender, in the analogy that I use, because there is an audience for it. There are super, super niche accounts. I the stupidest account in the entire world is a guy who goes to the bathroom in really nice hotels. Okay. He says, come to the bathroom with me. That account has over 30,000 followers. That account has videos with over 5 million views. Like you could be niche and go out and scale. Um, and if there's a unique way to position yourself as an account that's really niche and different, I guess I will end with like try to find something that's different. Do it from an angle that's different. I don't really see a lot of people doing it for the way I'm doing it with business and venture capital and startups. So you go out and find that niche. And I believe your business and your career probably is that, right? If you're in, hard money lending, if you're in whatever space you're in, real estate development, it doesn't matter. Go and do it. If you're an attorney, my friend's starting his own law firm. You don't have to say the name of the person that you just won the court case for, but you can say, I had a client that did XYZ and I helped them in ABC, and this is the result. And that is going to be huge for his business, and he's going to get massive views. So that's what I leave with. And the last thing I'll say is I really appreciate everyone taking the time today to jump on. I appreciate you and the team, Jason. If you're interested in venture capital and business and startup, it would mean a lot to me if you follow the Venture Reel. But I hope you follow it because you want to. Reel spell REEL. And thank you, everybody.
Of course, Mitchell, thank you so much. This was incredible. I look forward to watching many, many more videos to come, and the virality of these videos is will not be contained.
Thank you. And if you ever want to reach out, just DM me on Instagram. I'll answer. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Jason.